It's time for another episode of The Cheat Sheet.
The podcast where we interview top VCE performers
And deconstruct the strategies they use to achieve incredible results at school and in life.
Hello and welcome to The Cheat Sheet. My name is Ewan and our guest today graduated high school back in 2014. He did an awesome job in his final year at high school, whilst juggling a whole bunch of co-curricular commitments, including school captaincy position and even squeezing in a trip to the US for a global leadership conference. He's a good friend of mine. Please welcome Sali Miftari.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Ewan. I'm not sure if I deserve it, but I'll take it anyway.
Not true. So let's just launch straight into it. The first question I wanted to ask you, this is going to be a bit of a retrospective of our days back in high school.
Oh, wow.
You're obviously now in your second year of uni studying arts business, am I correct?
Arts economics.
Arts economics,
Yeah.
My apologies, at
No, don't
Monash
be sorry.
University. So a bit of a retrospective, 2 years out of high school now. Looking back, what was your biggest takeaway from your time at high school?
Biggest takeaway time at high school. Look, the world's a much bigger place than the four sort of boundaries of your high school. But there is so much you learn and so many people you meet, and it gives you a really good grounding of how to deal with people at uni, especially when you go from a 1,000, 2,000 people environment to a 60 or 70,000 people environment. You also get a really good grounding of how to meet people, how to have fun with them, how to remember them, and how to know what they're interested in and sort of what makes them tick, so that you can use that when you need to.
Sure. Well, you've kind of alluded to one of my questions I had further down my list, which was what do you think what was it you learned at high school that's been most used to you in uni? Would you think it would be that interpersonal communication skills?
Absolutely. Look, the fact of the matter is you really remember what you've learned in high school. You don't remember the sacks you did. You don't remember the scores you got, but you do remember the fun you had with your friends, the friends you made. You keep in touch with them. Like I keep in touch with Ewan fairly often. That's the most important thing. And that interpersonal relationship is so important to developing yourself and becoming who you are and achieving what you want to do.
Okay, so one of the things that I guess is so special about you was that during your time at high school, it wasn't solely the focus on your academic studies, but also the co-curricular activities you did. How important do you value, or how much do you value those, and did that enable you to sort of develop these skills that are so much of use to you now?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the fact of the matter is you don't spend your life doing assessments every day. You spend most of your life trying new things and pushing your boundaries. Getting involved in things like leadership programs, getting involved in playing sport for the school, which I did a bit of, maybe not as much as I should have, is vital to sort of growing, as I said before, growing as a person, becoming a bigger and better person, becoming a better person than who you are already, and pushing your boundaries.
And student leadership in particular, that obviously would have taught you a whole load of communication skills.
Of course.
What else did you sort of really gain from that role?
The key to leadership is being a good representative. It's not about the badge. It's not about speaking about why you deserve to be in that role and why you're brilliant, but it's about listening and hearing from people. What concerns them, what keeps them awake at night. If they're having a good day at school, if they're having a bad day at school, that is so important. It is so important to developing a plan that you will take to your peers, to your year level if you're in a student leadership role, and enacting on the wishes that they seek to achieve and helping them achieve what they want to achieve. And you learn a lot from that too. There is nothing more fulfilling than delivering on your commitments, than representing a group of people. I know that both outside uni, I've learned that outside high school, in uni, I've learned that outside uni, and I remember that from school, and that set the seeds to everything I've wanted to do and I'm doing at the moment.
Sure. Well, you're sounding very inspired, as I suspected you might. But let's return back to your academic side of things now. Remind me again what subjects it was you did as part of your VCE.
I have to remind myself. I know I did history revs with Ewan in year 11 with a great teacher. I did English, geography, French, further maths and economics.
Right. So quite a good mix of subjects. Another thing that I've sort of gathered of you is that you went through high school and then into uni with a very sort of clear objective and goal in mind. You're obviously very sort of career driven and have always worked towards that. So how did you sort of conduct yourself in high school as to achieve and work towards those goals?
Well, you're right, Ewan. I sort of came into high school knowing what I wanted to do. And when it came to course selections and thinking about where you wanted to go after year 12, at the end of year 10, I knew that I wanted to do economics and wanted to do something to do, with humanities as well. What I didn't want to do was 24 months of maths methods. So I did further maths. This is a tip for those of you that don't want to do maths methods but want to study commerce or economics at Melbourne or Monash. Do what I did, and that was 24 months of further maths and then 12 weeks of an equivalent maths methods unit at uni, and then transfer. But that's beside the point. I went into high school knowing what I wanted to do. I worked towards it. I worked very hard. I remember spending, with Ewan and with Lauren and with Sharon, the school captain team, and Lars as well. We'd spend 12, 13-hour days at school, fitting in time to study, to look after yourselves as well, and to hang around with your mates. One thing I take out of high school, I was speaking about it before, is that you have as much of a responsibility that you have to do your best to achieve what you want to achieve. You actually have a responsibility to look after yourself and give yourself a break, because you cannot burn out. You cannot expend all your energy at one moment, because that will not be the best thing for you, and you'll find that you'll struggle to achieve what you want to achieve. I did learn that at some points in high school, I must admit. If there's one thing I regret about high school, it probably was focusing a hell of a lot of energy on things that probably we shouldn't have thought about. But you learn from these things and you grow with them.
So what sort of attempts did you make to sort of manage and organise your time? You're obviously juggling a lot of commitments, including part-time work, stuff like that, and social commitments. How did you go about organising that time management? What sort of difficulties did you run into?
I must give credit to where it's due. My mother was fantastic in year 11 and 12. She kept my eyes on the ball. When I got distracted or when I sort of was losing feel of where I had to be and what I had to do, she kept my eyes on the ball and reminded me of exactly what I had to do. Beyond that, it's all about really good organisation. We live in a day and age where your life can be scheduled out of a small phone in your pocket. I use my phone a lot, even perhaps when I shouldn't have used it at school. And that was connected to my laptop and everything. I got reminders, and I still use these things to say that I have to be here and I have to hand this in. Those small things matter. But again, it's also bigger things that are perhaps not as directly involved into keeping on track. But going back to what I was saying, looking after yourself, taking time to, for a bit of taking some R&R is so important to giving you the energy to remember, giving you the energy to do what you have to do, achieve what you have to achieve, and sort of fulfill the goals that you set, goals and objectives and timetables that you set. Goals is very important. Don't think about, you can think about scores, you can think about ATARs, that's fine. But think about the smaller, more personal things that matter to you, that will not, bite away, that take away from everything you've got, and achieve those as well. Have a life outside school and outside your academic scores, and that's so important too.
So what I'm sort of gathering from your saying is that you sort of see communication as being a very sort of key part to both your schooling journey and then outside of that. It sounds like it's helped you sort of manage both your workload and you sort of and develop your skills are of such great use to you there and beyond. Do you think that's something you'd recommend to other people, sort of engage with their friends, kind of help sort of form study groups, stuff like that? How important was, I guess, your friendship circles and your family to completing your school?
Now, notwithstanding the fact that Ewan sitting next to me, my core group of friends at high school were pivotal to taking the most I could out of my final year. Your final year shouldn't be, as much as it is that your final year is focused on doing well and achieving the best ranking, the best SAC marks and everything. It's also about consolidating the friendships and relationships you have, because when you are in tough times, they will be there for you. When you need the support that you need, they will be there to give it, and they would expect you to be there conversely. So those relationships with people and your friendship circles are more important than you give it credit for at the time. You actually look back and with a degree of retrospectivity and remember how important they were. How, as simple as a phone call, as a text message, or playing games of Uno in the study center, building those relationships, taking a bit of time off together so you all know you're on the same page, you all know what you want to do, and you all know that you're there for each other. And that is vital. Really, really important to staying on track, because a road as long and as windy as VC is very hard to be, to traverse by yourselves, and you need the support, you need the guidance. Think of them as, maps. Think of them as GPSs. Think of them as cruise control to help you stay on track and not move aside. And take the wrong turn or swerve around on the road. And fall back a bit.
Well, so to pick up of a couple of things you've alluded to there, it sounds like you were very wise to use all the resources and tools available to you, including your friendships as well as your technological devices. And you kind of did that as to sort of best manage your stress, I guess. Obviously, stress and difficulty are things that people can run into during whenever we're placing expectations in ourselves, elements of stress can be involved. You mentioned before that you sort of, gave yourself time to relax and unwind a little bit. How did you sort of go about that and, I guess, looking after yourself sort of mentally and physically alongside, obviously, looking after your studies?
There were times I wanted to get my laptop and throw it in the Yarra River and not think about it again because all my work was on it. But no, barring yourselves from these sort of things, barring yourself from your laptop where all your work is, physically removing yourself from your desk and going for a run, playing tennis, or in my case, Grand Theft Auto sometimes, is so important. Are all really ways, you can use to take yourself and withdraw yourself. To steer clear of a distraction, I think you have to find another distraction. Schoolwork is very, very much as a distraction as is a game, as is going out with friends. So you need to do things that can take your attention away completely of school, so that for the 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long you take off yourself, you can stand back and know that you will be fully immersed in whatever you're doing. As I said, for me, it was video games sometimes. I think the same for you, Ewan. Was reading a book totally unrelated to economics. It was, getting involved in co-curricular things, getting involved in the community, volunteering, etc. So you know that you have something to do that is unrelated to school and you're not going to be bothered by what you've left at your desk.
Yeah, also makes you a very well-rounded individual.
Of course. And a well-rounded individual is so important. I've said the word important so many times, but being well-rounded is extremely important, because you're going to leave high school and if you leave high school and all you have is a VC certificate with a good mark, well then that's fine. But you're going to go find a job. You're going to go, make friends at uni. You're going to go to uni. You're going to find that those papers and those marks don't mean much. It's what you know. It's how you know. It's who you know, and how you can apply that to day to day is what really will put you on the next level.
Wow. Yeah. So you've given us a lot to take away there. But just, I guess, to bring it back, one sort of final question to you is, what would be your one sort of key piece of advice to people maybe in those kind of hard times in uni, back in high school? What would be your sort of one key pointer to help, I guess, motivate them to carry through?
Go out and live a little. Go out and live a little, because high school is not your life. And you'll find that after you leave high school, whether you go to uni, whether you go to do a trade, whether you take some time off, you will find, you'll have gone through year 12 thinking that it is your life. But then you'll leave and you'll say, hell no, there's a hell of a lot more outside. There's a hell of a lot more outside that is more important, that should concern you. So go out and live a little, become a better person, grow your skill set, your capacity to interact with people, your capacity to speak publicly, and get involved in things that are much harder to find in outside school, student leadership, etc. So that you have these distractions, these good distractions, positive distractions, to make you a well-rounded person, to actually allow you to segment your time, segment your energy into parts that at the end of the day will benefit you greatly.
Awesome. Thank you, Sally. Thank you so much for being.
No, thank you.
No doubt we'll be seeing a lot more of you in the future.
I don't know. Let's see how this gets out.
All right. Thanks again, Sals.
Like this episode? Head to thecheatsheet.net.au for show notes, real-life cheat sheets, and links to our social media pages. Thanks for listening.